So today we're going to separate mixture A. Mixture A is a mixture of two different compounds. We're going to use simple distillation to separate the mixture. To do this, we're going to open up our microscale kit as you see here and take out the pieces of glassware that we need. First, we're taking out our condenser, then our distilling head, now our thermometer adapter, then our round bottom flask, now our bent adapter. We're putting our round bottom flask together with our distilling head. As you see here, we're assembling our system. Then we're putting on the jacketed condenser, the vacuum takeoff adapter or our bent adapter, the thermometer adapter. Once that is put together, we basically have our skeleton set up. So we go to our common drawer, take out our clamps, our cork rings, and our thin wall tubing. We're going to have to put clamp the clamps to the back of the hood. These clamps will secure our distillation apparatus. We're taking a small clamp and securing it to the back as you see here. This is going to hold our round bottom flask in place. And then we're going to take the larger clamp, put it right on top of the smaller clamp, and this clamp is going to be used to help to secure our condenser. As you see here, the round bottom flask, we're securing it. And once that's secure, we can now use our bigger clamp. We can rotate it in any way. And now we secure our condenser. We want to try to make sure that the system is the round bottom flask and thermometer adapter is as straight as possible. In the system, we're going to have to put a boiling stone. We take out a boiling stone here. It's just a piece of charcoal. It will help our mixture boil evenly, wherein we put it in our round bottom flask. Then we'll take our graduated cylinder and we'll add mixture A to the graduated cylinder. There should be about 8 milliliters of mixture in the flask. And there is 8 milliliters. We pour the mixture into the round bottom flask there, as you can see here, and it's all in. And once that is in, we'll take our thin wall tubing, hook it up to our water, and from the water into the bottom condenser and then out the top and into the cup sink. Then we have to plug our hot plate in. We don't forget the O-ring on the thermometer. We have to put the thermometer into our system. Now we're putting the adapter on top. We are now going to screw in our thermometer, making sure that the bulb is at the right point. As you can see here, we're pushing it down just below to make sure that that's at the right point so we can heat evenly, so we can actually get the correct temperature. Now we turn on the water. The water just has to be flowing nicely through the system, and you can kind of see that in the video as the water is just filling up. Now we have to raise the heating block and make sure that it goes into the round bottom flask as you see here. And then we set our heat somewhere between 4 and 5, and we'll watch our system heat up. Once the system heats up to boiling, we're going to watch and record the temperature at the first drop, and then we are going to keep recording the temperature every half mil, which is about 5 drops. As you can see that we are collecting some of the compounds. Once we have collected about 7.5 mils, we take the system and remove the heat from the system. You never want to distill to total dryness because your system could bust. Now we have to turn the water off and dismantle our apparatus. When we turn the water off, we take the thermometer out. We disassemble all the pieces. As you can see here, it doesn't really matter what order you disassemble the pieces, you just have to disassemble them. We're unclamping our condenser. We have to take off our tubing being careful to make sure that the water in the tubing goes into the cup sink. We roll up our tubing, we take down our clamps. We have to make sure that we leave our hood as we found it. So here we just you can see we're unclamping the clamp from the back of the hood, and then we can take take all our tubing, put it back in our common draw along with our clamps. We put our jack down and we wrap the cord around the jack, just make it as we found it. Take all the pieces off of our thermometer, the O-ring and the adapter, and then we have to make sure all our glassware is taken apart, and then any extra liquid, our mixture, we just put into the waste jar in the hood, as you can see here. And now what we have to do is we put back all of our O-rings, and then we have to take all of our glassware and we have to take it over to the sink and make sure we wash our glassware. And once our glassware is washed and clean, we take it back and put it back into our microscale kit, close it up and put it away, and put our thermometer back, and now our distillation is done. Now we're going to show you guys how to set up and perform a fractional distillation. We use the same glassware as we used in the simple distillation, and as you can see, we're putting the pieces out here. The only difference is there is a longer column. It's called a Vigoro column. You can see here we have the O-ring for the thermometer and the round bottom and all the pieces we had for simple distillation. Now here we're putting our Vigoro column into our round bottom and putting the Distilling Adapter on top. The condenser is being attached now to our system. And now we have our vacuum takeoff adapter or distilling. Our thermometer adapter is being connected now. And as you can see in our system, the only difference from the simple distillation is that Vigoro column right here. Now we have to set up our clamps just as we had done in our simple distillation. We have to make sure they're secured to the back of the hood. Now we take our system, our skeleton system, and you can see we're going to take our system and we clamp back our round bottom. But as you look at it, you can see that the bigger clamp is too low for the condenser, and that's fine. So what we have to do now is clamp our round bottom, and then we have to move our other clamp a little bit higher to secure the condenser. And I show you this because you can move the clamps up and down as you need. Now we also have to put a boiling stone, just as we did with simple distillation, into the round bottom flask. Here it's easier to disconnect the round bottom flask than to drop it down through the Vigoro column. So we disconnect the round bottom flask, make sure the rest of the skeleton is secure, put the boiling stone into the round bottom flask. I think we maybe needed one more. We're putting it in, as you can see here. The boiling stone is in the round bottom flask, and now we're going to connect the round bottom flask to our system. And now we're going to take our mixture, still our mixture A, pour mixture A into our graduated cylinder, again 8 mils, and pour the mixture into the round bottom flask. The liquid can be poured from the top. Then we need to find an appropriate thermometer, put the O-ring on the bottom of the thermometer so our cap will be secured. Secure the thermometer to the system, lower the bulb, and now we have to make sure that our system, just like the simple distillation, is straight. So we have to adjust our clamps in any way. Then we take our thin wall tubing, water goes in the bottom and out the top. as you see here, and water going out to the cup sink and in from the water inlet. And we have to plug in our hot plate, raise hot plate to our round bottom flask. Just all the same steps as we did with simple distillation. Turn the heat on. Now we're turning the water on, making sure the water is flowing through. We can't forget that step. So the water now is flowing through. And now we turn on the heat after the water. And now we're just going to, again, wait for the system for the liquid to boil. And the first compound will come over, and then the second compound will distill over, because remember, mixture A is a mixture of two compounds. And what we're going to do is record the temperature at the first drop, and then record the temperature at every half mil. Again, we're going to record till we get about 7.5 mils, because we don't want to leave, we do not want to distill to dryness. Fractional distillation will take a little bit longer than simple distillation because there's a longer pathway that is needed for the compound to travel. Because of this longer pathway, fractional distillation is sometimes a more accurate method when you're distilling compounds with two liquids that have close boiling points. But as you can see here, we just are sitting and waiting for our distillation to come over. And at every half mil, we will record the temperature. Now you can see there is a little bit of a tinfoil around the system, which wasn't before. If you are waiting and your compound is not distilling over, you can choose to insulate your Vigoro column and your round bottom flask with tinfoil, which will make the system heat up a little faster. So that is one option to do, to insulate your system with tinfoil, as you see here, and then your liquid should distill. The distillation will be just as accurate. It will just distill in a more timely fashion. To remove the tin foil, and once you remove the tin foil, we have to lower the heat. We shut off the water, disconnect the hot plate, take out the thermometer, and disconnect the system. Here you can see we're just disconnecting the adapter pieces, opening the clamp, removing the condenser, and disconnecting all the pieces in the same manner as we did before with the simple distillation. And so now we're just disconnecting the clamps from the back of the hood and putting them away in our common drawer, taking the O-ring off the thermometer. It's a little stuck there, but it'll come off. Now we're going to put that into our microscale kit, put the thermometer away. Then we take all of our pieces, put them down. We're going to wash them the same way as we did with the simple distillation. We're going to also dispose of any liquid in our waste jar, and then we're going to take the glassware over to the sink, and we're going to wash out our glassware. And once our glassware is clean, we can rinse it with a little acetone, making sure the acetone goes into the acetone waste jar. We can rinse out and clean our glassware and put our glassware back in our microscale kit, cap it, and put the microscale kit away.